Hello, and welcome back to Alchemical Serenity, the podcast that takes you on a journey along the path, through the woods, across the fields and moors, down to the beach where we can sit around the campfire and talk about the path you were born to lead in a witchy, spiritual and druidy way. So firstly, I need to apologise. This is really late. Normally, I like to record these and get them up at least 2 to 3 weeks in advance of another one of our festivals, but unfortunately, I've had to have 2 weeks worth of dental surgery. So any of you that have had to have the same thing done, I'm sure you'll be now thinking, oh, yep, I'm there. I know where she is. And I couldn't speak. It was that uncomfortable. So I've just managed to regain the use of my mouth, which I think my family have been quite pleased around because I've been incredibly quiet. So I got everything sort of written up that I wanted to say. I just difficulty in actually getting any words out. However, here we are, and it's nearly the autumn equinox. I can't believe that the year has just flying by at the moment. Here in the UK, if you're listening from anywhere else around the world, obviously we are heading towards our darker time of the year, where if you're in the southern hemisphere, it's becoming your lighter time of the year. And our equinox falls on Saturday, the 23rd of September at 7:49 a.m. of all times. Traditionally, and for ease of dates and gatherings, it was always celebrated on the 21st of September. But the dawn of technology, the closest time to the daylight hours being equal, this time is the 23rd of September at 7:49 a.m. So anyway, it doesn't matter when you celebrate it or what date you have it on, because the energies are all around us for days before and days after. So we'll take a step back because, as you may have gathered, all our festival dates all start from sundown the day before. So really that drops us into the 22nd anyway. Scientifically, the sun is now going to be directly above the equator, giving us the equal daylight and dark hours. And of course, it's very noticeable now, isn't it, that the sun is setting earlier in the northern hemisphere. And obviously in the southern hemisphere, you're waking up to a lot more daylight hours and thinking, yay, here comes summer. The equinox is known as Mabon in both the Wiccan, Druid and Pagan lifestyle. Its name is after the Welsh god Mabon, whose name actually means great sun. And the story is that he was kidnapped from the great mother Modron when he was 3 days old and taken to the underworld of darkness to prevent his light shining on the land. However, he was much smarter than the lord of the underworld, and he escaped. And the story is perhaps a metaphor for how we need to keep the balance of light and darkness in our lives and make sure that we always have some sort of light shining, definitely. The equinox is also the second date of the 3 harvest festivals, and traditionally those schools, perhaps more so I suppose the church schools, my daughter was a Church of England school, they always continue to have their harvest festival this time of the year. And when you go through your cabinets and thinking, right, what can I take? Because everything had to be in tins. I remember those days of taking in the tins for my daughter's harvest festival. And you might be doing the same thing, and your kids might be in a completely different type of school where they just don't do these anymore. We've also witnessed that bit of extra hot weather, didn't we, up here? I like to call it an Indian summer. Is that politically correct anymore? Are we allowed to say an Indian summer, or am I going to get comments about that being, and it should be kicked to the curb? No, I don't know. But we grew up when our Septembers were warmer and much nicer. It was always called an Indian summer. And that's purely because of where the jet stream has been higher up, and we've had lots of warm weather coming up from the south. So it actually was quite enjoyable, apart from at night when it wasn't, because we don't have air conditioning. So it was horrendous. I like warm weather, but I've got, a lot of Viking blood in me, and that Viking blood tends to turn around and go, no, we need snow now. This is September. Come on, jumper weather. The leaves are going to fall off the tree soon, and they're going to change colour, and no more heat, no 30 degrees, thank you very much. Let's get some jumpers out. So Mabon concentrates on fruit and vegetable harvest for the next few weeks. The grains were all safely in on our last festival, and obviously I'm looking around at my local fields, and the farmers are out there. They've ploughed up the grain harvest, and they're ready to decide what they're going to put into their fields. And all the hedgerows are now being trimmed back, and there's plenty of maintenance going on. I've noticed a huge glut of blackberry, hawthorns and elderberries on the trees this year, and that was probably because we had such a wet May, which gave the additional boost needed to the hedgerows. So, oh, excuse me. What can we do to celebrate Mabon? Now, as I've always said, rituals and celebrations are a personal thing, and this is for your energy and how you live your life. Now, there are websites, there are blogs, and there are vlogs, all giving advice on what to do. But it sounds awful to say this, but none of it really matters, because there's no right or wrong way to connect with the energies of this time of the year. Sometimes I think we put ourselves under a lot of pressure to get it right when there isn't a right. Your right is different to my right. So when you're out there scrolling through, take ideas from lots of different places, or maybe just one place that you think, oh, I like that, I'm going to try it. Try different things, find out what works for you at that time and with your energy, and just enjoy it. If it didn't work this year, it might work next year. And perfecting what works for you is the important element. Don't allow yourself to be dragged into the it must be done this way, especially considering that many people online, on blogs, I have noticed, haven't been in this craft for many years. There are quite a few out there who have really, really walked their path. But there are a lot of people out there who have found a niche to talk about what they want to. And I think you have to just be very diligent on what you're taking in from websites. It's taken me 40 years to get to where I am, and even now I learn every day, and I certainly wouldn't dictate to somebody on what they should be doing, because we're all about energy, aren't we? Which we've discussed on several occasions. So I tend to decorate my altar. I change it again at this time of the year to reflect the coming season of autumn. So anything that touches on summer has now been packed away, and I'm moving towards a totally different colour scheme and a different vibe. Having Scottish and Viking blood, I need lots of cold weather. So that hot stuff, as I've said before, didn't work for me. And I'm not praying for snow, don't get me wrong. I'm not really a snowy person either. But my colour scheme now is into the colours of autumn. And I do have a few pumpkins and squashes on display, and even my wardrobe changes colour to the rich autumnal shades of falling leaves. I've also noticed this year, I don't know if anybody else has, how many more shops are actually selling autumnal fall home decorations in the UK. Now, for anyone listening from especially the US, where you go all out to decorate your homes for the season and not just for the Halloween time, we have never done that here. We have only ever done Halloween. So this kind of period between now and October, just sort of probably 6 weeks, we are still trying to kind of come out of wearing our flip-flops and shorts and not quite getting into the autumn idea of redecorating our houses for a different season. However, I popped to my local garden centre the other day, and it was absolutely rammed with leaves that you could hang up. There were gnomes, all in the same colours. There was the odd witch here and there. There was a few skeletons kind of, just creeping in, but everything was autumn. It was all autumn shades. They'd gone out now and decorated a whole area within the garden centre, which I have never seen before. And a lot of our home store shops are doing the same thing. They're all bringing in decor for autumn, which is fantastic, because obviously, we haven't had that before. We've had candles and pumpkin spice. Everybody had a pumpkin spice candle. And now we've got much, much bigger choice, which is absolutely fantastic. And then, of course, you can move on from that into Halloween if you wanted to, which again is Samhain in our festivals. So we will talk about that later on at another podcast. So shops are full of all these different things that we can now decorate. So if you're wanting to change your altar and you're in the UK, get out there, go look for some stuff, find yourself some leaves, bring things in from the outside, bring them in, anything like that. Just imagine if you were going to dive into Christmas decorating, you can now dive into decorating for autumn. Again, altars are personal, so depending on your space, you can have an elaborate altar, or you may just have a shelf where you can light a candle. So here are some correspondences that will work for this time. So direction is west, element is water. Crystals and gemstones. Now I'm going to use 2 or 3 here. Citrine, because it's yellow and it will remind us of the sun, and it's also the prosperity. As the season turns, it will bring in prosperity into you on the turn of the season. Also, there's clear quartz, because clear quartz you can do absolutely anything with. It's a master quartz and it will enhance every other gemstone, or just work on its own. Red jasper is a balancing stone and will help you to maintain the balance that you need. And aquamarine is another beautiful blue stone and can bring peace and tranquility into your life, and again help with balancing. Tools would be the cauldron, stirring up some energies. Candle colours. Now, you'd think autumnal shades, wouldn't you? Not necessarily. I use blue for autumn rains and green for Mother Earth. Oils, if you wanted to anoint your candles or do any oil burning, would be florals such as jasmine, herbs such as rosemary, sage, chamomile and yarrow. Your zodiac is obviously Virgo and Libra. Animals. Now, this time of the year, animals, if you're looking to connect with animal energy, you're looking at perhaps bats, badgers, hedgehogs, and a lot of moths. Oh, and those blessed crane flies. Yeah, I have 3 of them in the house right now, and every time a light goes on, they go loopy, and I'm sure everybody else is now thinking, oh, it's September, and it's moth and crane fly season. Lovely. Deities to work with. So we've got the Dagda, we've got Dana, which is Irish, we've got Bloodworth, we've got Branwen. Make offerings to the Mother Goddess at this time. She's protected the land from spring to harvest to ensure that we can all eat. And now it's time to say thank you to her. So anything you can do to Mother Earth Goddess would be fantastic. If you're wanting to do any ritual work, then look at balance and balancing of life, healing emotions, and using your intuition to connect with ancestors and to do some psychic work. We're in a season, sort of a change, obviously change again, aren't we? Because we're going into a new season. So as we change into a season, then you're looking to balance that season. And again, because it's the equinox, it's about balance. Plants, well, anything that's still growing and thriving. It's harvest time. There's lots available. And if you're into fermenting and canning, ready to eat this later in the year, then get out there and get fermenting. It's the best time of the year to make as much as you can, ready for when we haven't got as much, or maybe you don't want to go and buy so much pickle from your local store for groceries. Make your own. Trees to work with, ivy. Now, I know most people probably wouldn't call ivy a tree because it lives and thrives on a tree, but it's also very beneficial to wildlife, and ivy is one of the Druid plants, trees, if you like. It fruits between now and November. You'll see the bees gathering loads of pollen from it at the moment. It's kind of one of the last elements of pollen for any bees to take and back to the hive, and then the birds will be eating the fruits later. And also there's apple trees. Obviously they're shedding their fruit, and apple is connected to water, and it's the water element that we have, as I've already said. If you have an outdoor altar, then again, that's totally up to you what you do outside, if you want to make any change at all. Indoor altars also, I was just going back to those, you can burn your incense on both. Actually, you could burn some incense outside if you wanted to. It depends on what you're doing for your rituals, or if you're going to do any meditation outside before it gets too chilly and your thermals and jumpers are on. Although, in saying that, it is really nice to do a meditation outside on a cool, crisp day with a nice flask of tea. But English lavender, which has got a really gentle scent and can help you relax and has time to work, will help you work out why there's any imbalance in your life. You can make adjustments, and you can add this to represent the time on your altar, or inside or outside. And perhaps if you've got any lavender growing in the garden, gather some in so that you've got your own dried lavender ready. Now, meditations, if you have an apple tree or a friend has one, perhaps you could go and pinch some apples. Go, I shouldn't say it, should I? Like we used to do when we were kids, go scrumping. If you haven't got the access to an apple tree, or a friend with an apple tree, then if you purchase some apples and you cut it in half, you will actually, when you look inside, you will actually see that it has a 5-pointed star. And this represents earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. Now, if you hold the apple in your hand and meditate, you can wait and see what messages come through. So that's quite a nice meditation to do for this time of the year. Food's in abundance. If you're growing your own, you're probably now hauling in anything that you need. I haven't grown anything this year, to be fair. I had a few potatoes that were rogue. They were clearly potatoes I hadn't dug up last year, and they came up in the potato bags, and it's like, oh, hello, free potatoes. But they have gone, and the tomatoes are just about over. Gourds and pumpkins, obviously they're coming out now, and they'll start to appear in stores. But make sure you buy the right ones to eat, because I actually didn't realise that there are 2 types of pumpkins. Why would I, to be perfectly honest? There's a pumpkin that you carve, and there's a pumpkin that you can eat. And all the ones that you see in the fields, they're basically for carving. I don't know what they do to them. I don't know. But apparently, not that I have ever eaten them, but they are purely to just carve out, put your candle in, use them for Samhain, and not eat them. So don't be like me and go, well, I don't know which one it is. Just double check if you're going to start doing the old pumpkin soup. That actually sounds quite nice, doesn't it? Drinks, well, quite frankly, this is down to individual taste. I actually like a nice crisp cider or apple flavoured kombucha, fermenting. That's a very good thing to do. There's plenty to forage. If you want to go foraging, there's hawthorn berries are out there. There might still be some elderberries. They came a little bit early, I feel, this year. I'm used to collecting elderberries late August into early September. Most of mine came a little bit earlier this year. If you're fluent in mushrooms, then look out, because the rainy season now, mushrooms will be coming up, because this is the time that mushrooms appear to spread their spores for the following year. So, but make sure you are fluent in shroom. Don't just go picking absolutely anything. There's some good foraging books out there. Or go on a foraging course if you have time. But just take care. Take a book along with you. Just be careful what you consume when it comes to going foraging, and obviously leave some for the birds and the wildlife over winter. Say thank you to the bush or the tree for its work that it's done. The the bushes and trees aren't here to feed us. The bushes and trees are here to do their job. We are just very lucky that we came along, and they have the ability to share their produce with us. We can't just take. You don't just take from a tree. Oh, thank you very much. You wouldn't just take from your neighbour. Oh, thank you very much. My neighbour for growing those tomatoes. I'm just going to go into your garden and scrump. You wouldn't do that either. It's the same thing with trees. If you're going to take from the trees, give something back to them. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's chucking a bit of birdseed down over winter, or finding a way to say thank you to those trees for whatever you've taken from them, because that puts you then in harmony with all the energies. And also try and grow your own hawthorn in the garden, elderberries. You'd be amazed how wonderful it is to go out and actually pick your own. just going back to outdoor altars, something I did forget to say is that if you don't have one, it doesn't matter. But if you do, don't forget to leave something for the Fae. Just a little token of gratitude, milk, honey, apples, bread, something that you think as you're putting it into the garden and leaving it for the Fae. They will be very, very pleased that you've thought about them. Even though you might not think you have fairies in your garden, fairies are just an energy that you cannot see. And you can still say thank you to them as well. Autumn walks. Well, this is the best time, isn't it? You know, once the trees start to lose their leaves, going and kicking them up in the woods, and the changing trees, the smells, the immersive experience of balancing your nature and self, and just connecting with the ultimate energies. I mean, barefoot, maybe, you know, perhaps sit a while with a tree, enjoy the company of the birds as they prepare for winter. Look out for other wildlife, depending on where you live. And if you're by the sea, just go and listen to the waves on the beach. Having moved inland myself 4 years ago, I am really missing popping to the beach. We only lived about 15 minutes drive away, and now I live a couple of hours. And I kind of crave the sound of the beach. Another thing to do is an equinox reflection. Check in with your goals for the year. How are you doing? Do you need to do any work? Have you actually not written any goals at all and thought, oh, no, I can't take on any more? Are there any goals you want to achieve by the time we get up to Yule? You know, don't beat yourself up though. If you can't achieve a goal, it doesn't matter. That will happen at the right time. Again, everything is energy. And if you haven't got the energy to achieve a goal now, that energy will come along as and when you're ready. So setting any goals for the autumn season, from the 21st of September roughly to the 21st of December, if there is something you want to do, then this is the time to sit down and just write them. Also, why not get together with a few friends for an autumn potluck supper? Dress up the table, ask everyone to wear something that reminds them of autumn, and to bring something seasonal to share, food or drink. And as always, keep the campfires burning. As with every season, we can light a fire or even just a candle. That light in the night before equinox will bring in all the powerful energies. We are moving now closer to the end of the Pagan festival year. I know I started my podcast at Imulk, but the traditional end of the year would be our next festival of Samhain. Now I'm preparing for winter. Before we know it, Samhain will have passed us by and we'll be heading towards the chillier times. So rather than me waffle on too much, I hope you have time to celebrate the equinox. I hope you have a wonderful time if you do. If you only have time to light a candle, burn some of your favorite incense or spend a few minutes in meditation and just connect to the energies, then just do what works for you. If you have more time, walk in the park, family and friends get together, everything is good. It doesn't matter what it is. Just have a blessed Mabon. And don't forget, look me up as Alchemical Serenity on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. And enjoy the 21st to the 23rd of September. And let me know in any of the comments below what you've been doing and what you get up to. And I look forward to seeing you again, ready for the big one. The big one, of Samhain, when we come to the end of the year and it's time to party.